But why so serious? It's Nick Shell, the internet receding hairline guy. Everyone is looking for a place to belong, and I want to tell you, as if you didn't already know, you belong here. With me, Nick Shell, in my series about, me being the internet receding hairline guy. I just want to come out and say it because here's what I'm willing to say, that a lot of the success of this series that I do, the way I've been able to grow subscribers from this concept about talking about receding hairlines, is because you are looking for a place to belong. And let's be honest, maybe I am too. Maybe that's why I do this series. It's something I'm good at, and people watch it. But ultimately, I think it comes down to our sense of wanting a place to belong. When I was in college, I graduated with an English degree like a dozen years ago, and I had to take this class that was something like history of art or something. And in that class, I remember, and I haven't heard this any other time since in my life. I Googled it, couldn't find proof that this existed, but he was explaining in the most simplest terms what's the difference between a comedy and a tragedy. And he said that a comedy is when the main character is an outsider in society, and by the end of the play or the movie, as it would be today, he is accepted by mainstream society and is accepted. So he was an outsider, now he's part of the crowd. The flip side would be true as well, that a tragedy would be a situation where someone is part of society and for whatever reason is no longer part of that society, even if that means death or excommunication or whatever it may be. So comedy is when you're an outsider and you're brought in. Tragedy is when you're already in and you're oosted out. And I think that if we look at that base definition between tragedy and comedy, it really helps us understand our psychological need to be included, to be involved, to have a group, to have a sense of identity with other people who are like us, which is why I think brings you here. And that's why I just want to be very clear with you that you do belong here. Now, here's where it gets challenging, and I've brought this up in yesterday's video. I recognize that there are people who subscribe, who watch every video I do, and still say things to me that are definitely the opposite of complimentary. They seem like they're not happy to be here. They seem ungrateful. They seem like they find a way to actually criticize me for things that aren't really in my control. They'll tell me how bad my bald spot is or how bad my hairline is. Now, granted, it's me starting that conversation, but it's almost like they're testing to see if I will get upset with them or try to put them down, when in reality, I don't care what you say. If you're spending your time to watch my videos and participate in this group, then I'll accept you as you are. And granted, as I mentioned yesterday, one of the habits of people who are victorious are people who compliment others instead of criticize others. And I found that certain people who watch my videos, it's almost like they can't help but just find a way to criticize instead of compliment. Not that I need a compliment, but when someone's criticizing that much, it makes me think that they're insecure and they need my assurance, which is why I'm here. So just know that you can never offend me through anything you say. If you put me down every day, if you're negative every day, I'll still be here and I'll still be positive, because you need someone positive in your life like me. Now imagine this shouldn't be a surprise. In the summers of 2000 and 2001, I was a camp counselor. And then the years to follow, I was a school teacher. So I know what it's like for people to feel lost, need a place to belong, and they don't know how to express that. So they're negative to other people. And that's why I keep saying, when we look at the habits of people who are victorious, they compliment others, while those who are victims, they're criticizing others. I firmly believe that that's a clear way to size someone up psychologically and find out if they have inner peace. When we look at those 7 habits of people who are victorious, what I always think is, when I see someone who's not doing those things, because like for me, I'm confident. We all know I'm confident. We all know I'm secure. We all know I have inner peace. We know that for a fact. All of us do. And so for me to have that, and then I see people who aren't doing those things, like for example, aside from the part about complimenting others instead of criticizing, some other things I always talk about is embracing change instead of fearing change. When I see someone who's always fearful to of change, or they're fearing learning new things instead of learning how to do things. And when I see someone who thinks they already know everything instead of wanting to learn something, when I see people who never have plans for the future instead of just flying by the seat of their pants, when I see those sort of things, I think ultimately there's probably a good chance that person doesn't have the same level of confidence in themselves as I do. There's a good chance that that person doesn't have the inner peace that I do. So that's my checklist that I go by. I've talked about many times and if you want to see more about that, just on my channel, search victors versus victims, and it'll be on there. But I say all this as kind of a sequel to other videos I've done, because I want you to know that even if you talk to me in a way that isn't cool, I still accept you as you are, and you're welcome back for every video. Even if other people call you a troll, I'm not going to call you a troll. I'm just going to assume you're going through certain things in your life and you need to get to a place of confidence in yourself, and that's why you're coming to me. So it wouldn't be right for me to say anything negative to you. The only thing I should do is be positive to anyone who is struggling with that, and that's what I'm fully aware of. You're here for a reason. You're not here because you're necessarily confident in yourself and confident in the future about your hair. You're coming back to me because you have doubts and you have insecurities, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of maturity. That's part of human growth, right? Now, imagine I'm 35 years old. Do you think I could make this video when I was 19 or 20? Of course I couldn't, because I didn't have that confidence that I have now. How did I get it? Just by being sure of myself? Of course not. It took life experience. It took traumatic circumstances in my life. It took dramatic things in my life for me to get to this point. So if you're 19, 15, 20, 21, 25 and feeling insecure about these issues, of course you do. I did at the time as well. And I would have loved to have somebody like me in my life telling me this stuff today. So don't worry, you'll get to that level of confidence, and it's okay. Whether you lose your hair or not, whether you choose to do something or not my call. That's for you to decide. Will you be able to have confidence despite your hair loss is ultimately the question. And you get to decide that more than anyone else, you know? Because what is your fear after all of losing your hair? What's the worst thing that could happen to you? Well, let me guess. Perhaps your fear has something to do with not being accepted by society in some way, which goes back to comedy versus tragedy. You fear that right now, maybe you are a normal human being in society and people like you. But you're thinking, oh no, I'm 18, I'm about to graduate high school this year, and I'm going to be bald by the time I'm halfway through college. That's that fear of tragedy. That's that fear of being ousted from society instead of remaining part of society. It's a fear of tragedy versus comedy. So this is your psychology lesson today. You do have a place to belong. You're fearing tragedy. You're wanting to keep this a comedy. But it comes down to you being confident in who you are. And how do you gain that confidence? All I can say is keep watching my videos, because that's what I do. When I talk about receding hairlines, I'm of no true help to you other than psychological. You can keep sending me pictures of your hairline, and I can keep predicting whether you're going to be bald by 35 or not. But ultimately, it's all about psychology. That's the one good thing that's the one thing I'm good at when it comes to talking about receding hairlines. And I don't pretend to be anything other than that. All right? I'm Nick Shell. I'm the internet receding hairline guy, and this is how I'm going to help you.